Oh, well, today I thought I'd do another update on the 650, an 8,000 mile update. Well, it will be 8,000 miles by the time I get home. What are we at the moment? 7965. So I've had the 650 now for 13 months and done near as damn it 8,000 miles on the bike. And do you know what? I love this bike still as much now as I did the first day I bought it. I'm far more used to it now, and the power, and it doesn't scare me quite as much as it did first time I got on it. It sounds a bit daft. So what's it been like in this last year? It's been brilliant. Been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed every single ride and every single mile I've done on it. No issues at all. All it's had is its routine servicing. So after 600 miles it had its first initial service, and that cost £120. Then last month it just had its annual service, first 12-month service, and that came in at about £200. So it's been about £330 on servicing costs over the last year. In terms of other costs, fuel, I was having to think about this a bit earlier, and this is real back of a fag packet figures, so don't quote me on this, but I think I've been roughly averaging about 50 miles a gallon. There have been some journeys where I've been up at 56-ish, 57. There have been others where it's dropped down to like 44, 45. So if we say an average of 50 miles per gallon, 8,000 miles, I think that works out 750 odd litres fuel, 113p a litre, 150. Well, put it this way, I reckon I've spent between 800 and 900 quid on fuel in this year. So including the servicing, between 1100 and 1200 pounds. It hasn't really used any oil at all over this last year, outside of the routine servicing. I have got some oil at home, and I have put a little bit in, but half a litre tops, I would guess. So the only other cost that I've had has been on tyres, and the bike came OEM fitment with Dunlop 222s on them, front and rear, which, I mean, they were okay, but those lasted nearly 5,000, well, the rear lasted nearly 5,000 miles before I was getting down to the wear markers, and it had squared off a fair bit. So I replaced both the front and the rear at that stage, because I swapped off the Dunlops onto Bridgestone BT016s, I think they are. And I have to say, wow, much better tyre. Gave me so much more confidence in terms of grip, when cornering grip, certainly on the shoulders of the tyre, much nicer. So yeah, highly recommend those tyres over the original D222 Dunlops. And how much do they cost me? Well, I think because 016s are a kind of last generation tyre. They're not the latest one. They weren't too bad. I think I got the front and a rear for about 250 quid. So if we say 250 quid for the tyres, we'll say 330 for servicing, 570, 800 or 900. Yeah, we're talking about 1400 quid, 1500 max for a year's and 8,000 miles of motorcycling, which I don't think is too bad. Listen to that Triumph Bonnie. Oh, the new one's lovely. And if you've seen my previous stupid idiot, seen my previous video, which I think was the 4,000 mile update, my likes and dislikes of the CBR650F, you'll know initially what I did like and what I didn't like. And do you know what? Nothing really has changed in that year. Let's start with some dislikes for a change. Okay, my first dislike, and this is particularly since I've bought the blade as well, is the horn and indicator down here. Those being swapped round the other way to most normal ones. I find that at times when I want to use the horn, it's not very intuitive. Standard, my thumb wants to come down onto the indicator. Seems sensible to have the horn right at the very bottom. It's the easiest place to find it, especially in a bit of a panic when you need to warn someone of your presence. So yeah, I think those should be swapped round the other way. The other thing which I notice more and more, and again maybe it's since I've had the blade and because that is so smooth, is most of the time the fueling on this bike is brilliant, really nice, spot on, but there's a bit in second gear where you're doing like 15 miles an hour, 18 miles an hour in second gear, and you're kind of just on or off the throttle, and it's a nightmare. It's a bit jerky, a bit horrible. One of the things that's not so good, and it's my own fault, and it's horses for courses, is I've actually made this slightly worse for filtering in heavy traffic by putting on the mirror extenders to make them stick out a bit too far, and they're just a little bit too wide for some of those tight gaps. But yeah, that's a small price to pay, I think, for the extra visibility it gives me, particularly around town and in traffic. What would be nicer is, like on the blade, if these, I mean, they move, these mirror extenders here, the mirror arms here, but they're on a bolt. You have to kind of move them back and then get them in the right place. With the blade, you just fold them up, click, fold them back out into the original position. Makes life a lot easier. And that's kind of it in terms of issues, problems. Everything else is really nice. This is a really nice everyday use bike. Yeah, it's easy to flick in and around traffic, commuting on. Yeah, pretty comfortable. Yeah, it's not an extreme sports bike position, but it's not a sit-up naked position either. So yeah, you can commute in it, particularly in any weather, because it's only got 80 odd horsepower. Even in the pissing rain, it's not majorly scary. The power delivery is very smooth. torque curve is very linear throughout the whole rev range. So you can use this every day for commuting without no problems. Should I say without any problems? Correct my English. But also you can take it out on a weekend, hit the A and B roads and have a lot of fun without worrying too much about your license. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can get into license losing speeds quite easily, but it doesn't happen at every single flick of the wrist. Yeah, this will very happily sit at 70, 80 on the motorway without any complaints, but likewise just twist the throttle a bit and it would very happily get up into 3 figures. You can tell that most of the schools are broken up. What time are we? 20 past 6. Normally this would be absolutely chock-a-block. So this is a really, really user-friendly bike. Very forgiving power delivery, lovely smooth gearbox, and if you don't want to, if you want to be lazy and you're not worried about instant go the whole time, you can quite easily leave it up in third and fourth and just poodle around. So the brakes are perfectly adequate for the bike and for the power. Front brake does need a good squeeze to get the best out of it, and after 8,000 miles at the service I was told that I've probably got about another 1,500, 2,000 miles left in the pads before they need changing. So yeah, the front's been really good. Front brake, I think there's only been one time when I've got the ABS to kick in. The rear brake is good for low speed manoeuvring. You can feel the difference of braking with both front and rear as opposed to just the front, so it does make a difference. However, I don't know whether or not I've just got a very heavy right foot, or whether the rear brake's over servoed. I don't know. I don't think brakes are servoed on bikes, are they, like on cars? But certainly if you use the rear a little more enthusiastically, shall we say, the ABS cuts in very quickly on the rear. But yeah, I mean, nothing to write home about, but they're good quality brakes for the bike. Yeah, perfectly adequate for its weight and power. I've seen some people, and particularly on forums, complain about the build quality of these bikes, particularly as they're not made in Japan. Is it Indonesia that they're made in? And certainly in a previous video I've kind of shown you the really wobbly rear number plate light, and in terms of the build quality, I mean, the bike doesn't have an overly premium feel. It is a little bit plasticky, especially when I compare it to the Blade. And things like the number plate light, yeah, that is. But genuinely, hand on my heart, yeah, it's still on the original of everything on this bike, apart from the tyres. Nothing's fallen off. I've used this bike also pretty much every day in the last year, in all weathers. So through the winter with salt on the roads, yeah, the summer, yeah, the whole thing. And yes, I'm not anal with my cleaning. and it gets a clean every now and again. It's not like every week, but and I do use ACF50, which has certainly helped with the winter running. But if I look across all over the bike, nothing really has rusted, gone manky, nothing's fallen off. It's stood up to a year's of use as an everyday road bike, I think, pretty well. I'll see if I can just insert a little bit of video and show you around the bike stationary close up, just so you can get an idea of stuff. And it's not going to be gleaming clean, that's for sure. It's going to be a bit grubby, but so for everyone's talk of poor build quality, no, that's not my experience. Yes, it's certainly built to a budget. You could tell that with some of the plastics and some of those sort of things, but in terms of the actual quality of things holding up, no issues whatsoever at this time, and long may that continue. So here we are, coming up to the motorway, 50 miles an hour, top gear, roll on the throttle, picks up beautifully. Here we are, and this bike is just as happy cruising along like this as it is. Open it up a touch. It might only have 80 odd horsepower, but for general everyday riding it has got more than enough. There are times, yeah, when I wish I had a bit more under the right wrist, but that's what I've got the blade for. Those weekend fun rides. For everyday riding, what more could you ask for? You could ride this thing all day, nice and comfy. Suspension on the softest side. What's not to like about this bike? Well, the only thing not to like about this bike is the price. £7,000. This was £1,000 cheaper. I think it'd be a no-brainer. But regardless, I'm happy. At the end of the day, it's all that matters. Everyone else out there might hate this bike, might think I'm mad. I like it, I'm happy. Don't let anyone ever tell you that, you know, your bike's not this or your bike's not that. The only person that matters is you as the rider. And there's so little these days to discern between different bikes. Yeah. Is there really a bad bike out there? It's always going to come down to personal preference and choice. So I hope you enjoyed this update. Hope it's been informative. It's probably time for the 1,000-mile update on the blade soon. See you later.